Hey everybody, ronarray here, and the 3.27 is coming pretty close. Some things are nerfed, some things are new, and some other things are staying the same. So in this video, I want to showcase a pretty strong league starter build that I used in 3.25, Lacerate plus Retaliate Gladiator. Why it is a good starter? Well, right now it has a very good single target damage with Lacerate, additional clear from Retaliate skill Eviscerate, and explosions from Gladiator Ascendancy, which is very satisfying. On top of it, you will get great survivability with almost 90% block chance, and pretty nice amount of life together with it. You can also even cap a Spell Suppression if you care about it too. Lacerate is completely untouched by the patch notes and can still be a very decent option to league start with. It will also be very easy to be dot capped in the late game version for pinnacles, and it can reach up to 14 millions of Uber DPS. Don't mistake it for a normal pinnacle DPS, which is obviously capped to 45 millions in the Uber version. All of that while staying relatively cheap and very easy to play. In this video and additional materials, I'm going to provide all the information that you will need to push the build from the league start to Ubers. Let's go! For 100% handholding mode, you can also check my initial video from 3.25 that will showcase everything for you step by step. Also, feel free to subscribe if you enjoy such content. So first off, why we're even using Lacerate plus Eviscerate combo? I believe that Lacerate right now is a very decent skill for single target and battling tough rares. However, Eviscerate, on the other hand, can help you a lot with AoE, because it can hit a pretty big percent of your screen, and since Lacerate is feeling a little too melee in some particular situations, Eviscerate coming to the rescue and helping you out to hit more on your screen. But when it's coming to single target, and especially bosses, playing just Eviscerate creating some additional issues, and Lacerate is dealing much more damage to them. That making the combo good enough when you can kill all the monsters that you want to with Lacerate and hit the rest of enemies on the screen with AoE from Eviscerate. So how to manage the mana? That's probably one of the biggest questions when you're playing a mana-hungry build. Initially, there's an option to use Blood Magic, but I believe that running auras even during the campaign is worth it, and Blood Magic is not making it too comfortable. Instead, I heavily recommend to go with Cannibalistic Rise right here. It will give you additional reduced mana cost of attacks and attack skill cost based on life instead of mana. On top of it, you can also get like reduced mana cost of skills right here as a mastery, since it can help you a lot. And another pretty important part for the mana that we need to get life and mana leech node right here, because it's going to help us at least a little to get additional mana leech as soon as possible. So you need to get to those nodes pretty early. Around level 54 you already should have a mana leech up, and you should be very close to getting Cannibalistic right as well. If your mana is very bad and you're feeling like you need more mana fixes, you can always go for Spirit of War too, so just spacing 3 points right here and getting even more reduced mana cost of attacks and additional damage leached as mana. We're prioritizing life and mana leech instead because it's also giving you a life leech, which could be pretty nice at the start. Now, let's talk about Ascendancy and Survivability. When we are talking about Ascendancy first, from level 75 and up, you will need to always have your block chance capped, so you need to reach at least 60-65% of both spell block and block chance, because block is the main way how you're surviving in the maps. Make sure that you have that block up in almost all cases, even before you'll get more than skill. For the Ascendancy, I believe that getting Gracious Violence together with Jack Technique for Bleeding You Inflict is Aggravated is much more important initially than getting more than skill. But if your survivability is not feeling that amazing, you can always get rid of Jack Technique and get more than skill as early as possible, because it's going to give you a huge block chance. So how we reaching that block? First off, it's very important that you're taking particular nodes such as the Mountain, Aggressive Bastion and Tetsudo. Especially Tetsudo because it's going to give you recover life when you block. So it's a very big percent of a comfortable gameplay for you. And another very important part is versatile combatant. I think you should get it as fast as you can when your initial block is passing 65%, so try to make sure that you have it. If you have some particular stats issue, you can also invest like proficiency and hard knocks here, which could fix your issues with intelligence or dexterity. And another part of survivability is taking particular auras and other bonuses. So if you will take a level 91 Watchstone, there is multiple layers to your survivability. On top of it, you're using Soul of Steel with +1 to maximum elemental resistances, Armor Mastery, which will give you +1 as well. And you're also reaching through those nodes to get Nomadic Technique for +2 to all maximum elemental resistances too. All of that together should give you approximately 80% of maximum resistances, which is very comfortable. To make sure you're not dying from occasional big hits, you can also take 30% reduced extra damage from critical strikes to make sure nothing unpredictable is happening. And to generate the charges, I heavily recommend to run Inexorable, because it's giving you 25% chance to get an endurance charge when you are hit, and also additional armor when you're stationary. So even at level 91 you should be able to have your endurance charges up almost all the time. Using such things as like Soul of Garukhan to make sure you're not getting shocked, and Soul of Brian King to make sure you're not getting frozen is very important as well. And another question is pretty much Spell Suppression. In that variation of the build, I'm not really investing into Spell Suppression that much, so I have it on the items, like theoretically, if you would like to have it, but I'm not really bothering with capping it, because I believe survivability is good enough just from having block and high resistances. However, if you feel like you need that Spell Suppression, you can just get Spell Suppression on all the items which can roll it, so boots, gloves, body armor, and your helmet. And on top of it, just invest a little points right here, for example, which will give you capped Spell Suppression, as you can see. I still don't really think that it's absolutely necessary, but feel free to do that, and you can also get rid of particular points, such as life points, for example, to make it possible. So when we are talking about aura choices, generally I'm riding Pride and Determination, because Determination can boost additional survivability for the build. So I believe those two auras are mandatory. However, if you don't have enough mana, you can always drop Herald of Purity, because it's not providing you much, just giving you a little damage here and there. But if you have that mana, I believe that running that is probably recommended. So Molten Shell is the main defensive aura that you should use, because you have a lot of armor and you can survive much better with it. And running Vulnerability as a self-cast cures should be pretty helpful as well. So now let's talk about Uber version. First off, the Uber version is the version that you usually should try to reach while playing. That version have about 14 millions of DPS against Uber Pinnacle bosses. It's not normal Pinnacle bosses, which should be dot capped, obviously 36 millions, but Uber Pinnacles. Since there's a dot cap in the game and you can't reach higher than some particular damage because of the technical limitation, you need to make sure that you're setting your path of building to Uber Pinnacle boss. And 14 millions of Uber Pinnacle boss damage is very decent. At the moment, you also can swap a few gems. For example, I'm using Fortify in that setup because I believe Fortification is worth it for better survivability. However, if you just want to have as much damage as possible, you can drop it out and replace it with Endurance Charge on melee stun or Awaken Deadly Elements. Endurance Charge on melee stun is probably the easiest part right here because both of the gems are red. You can also get a Lacerate of Haemorrhage for level 21 to reach about 17 millions of Uber Pinnacle damage, which is very decent at the moment. On top of it, you also should be able to have various items, which most of them are unique, so here you just focusing on getting corruptions to improving your damage. For example, like additional Pride effect on the belt should help a lot against bosses, or Strangle Gasp, for example, should give you a lot of advantages as well. For the Relicash, you need to run a Relicash with Frenzy charges, and Replica's Pharaoh's Fur is not even corrupted, so you can run any basic variation right here. But to manage the mana, you will need to make sure that your Usurper Penance right here have a cost and reservation multiplier. I will have a separate video about how to craft a dedicated axe for the build, because a lot of axes on the market could be too expensive. Feel free to check it out, I'm going to leave it in the description as well. For the Uber version, it's also pretty important to get like Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame if you can, and the rest of the tree is pretty basic. Your survivability is still based on the very high block and resistances, and the damage itself is very nice from Lacerate for single target, and Eviscerate is still helping you out with the rest. That path of building will be provided like separately, so make sure you are not missing it. Otherwise, that setup should be very complete. You can also check the older videos if you would like to, because there have been some additional information here, but if you will just follow the guide and just like path of building in there, you're going to be absolutely fine at the league start. Feel free to also ask me any questions that you would like on the stream, and I will be happy to help you out. Thank you very much for watching, and hope you will have an amazing league start. ronarray out.